In the next slide, I'll be explaining what is nature of the subject, deep resting life factor, trigger and purpose. So motivation, the first one, you can leave it. I already explained it to you. The next one is nature. Nature of the subject is the intrinsic personality traits of a person which are innate or unswerving. That means it cannot be changed and different from those traits which are unstable or those a person acquires during the lifetime. As a result of post-childhood experiences, the nature of the subject acts as a base on which multiple factors interact to result in serial killing. So that is the nature of the subject. If you try to understand a person's life, or even those people you know better for a consistent period of time, most people will have certain nature, and these nature are something which they repeat, they express throughout their life. That is what their nature. These people will be very caring, or their immediate situations to trouble is aggression. So we all have opinions of this is that kind of person. So when you do it scientifically, that will become the nature of that subject. And nature of the subject cannot alone make anyone an offender or a serial killer. Then there should be DRLF, and the DRLF are the mental state of a person or the physical circumstances in the life of a person and their influences on each other. That means this is not something which they are born with. This could be a mental state resulting from a circumstances in their life. For example, a person is very poor. He is born into a very poor family. We cannot say something that is something he is not born with, but he born into that particular family. And a person's relationship with mother, a person had a very caring mother or a very cruel mother. So that is also a deep resting life factors. He had a disorganized relationship with his father. That is also a deep resting life factors. A child went to a school where he was constantly bullied by a gang member, which made him, which made him take several important decisions which will affect throughout his life. Either the child decided not to go for schooling, or he started hating school, so he decided not to take any active interest in the studies. So in that case, that will become a deep resting life factor, because he made a decision not to pursue his studies because of those the bullying of those gang members. Like that, all of these can be deep resting life factors. And again, how a person react to a DRLF resulting upon his nature. If he has a very aggressive nature, his first response to the deep resting life factor of bullying will be aggression. He will be facing aggression with aggression in that case. Then this is another important thing. I want all of you to pay attention here. Trigger. So I told you, like, a person will get into a killer instinct, and at one point of time he will commit a murder. Killer instinct can go up, can go down, but not all people who reach a killer instinct will commit murder. For committing a murder, those people who should find the trigger. That means trigger is a very short incident in the life of a person which can permit him to commit the first murder, which can elevate his mood from the killer instinct into a platform where he is ready. Yes, I'm ready to commit a murder. So that situation he will reach only with the trigger. Trigger is not a very significant incident. If you look at the whole life of the people, you will find it is very important. But if you look at alone, something which happened just before the murder, or few days before the murder, or 1 month before the murder, so after that incident he is a murderer. So if you look at that incident alone, you will think it is not at all important. It is not a factor for considering the murder or motivation of the murder. But trigger is very important and very relevant, because this short happening in a particular complicated time in the life of a person can bring the underlying killer instinct to the outside. So that made him reveal the killer instinct. And once that murder is committed, he is in a game, like in a bowl. He commits murder. One, he gets down into the normal mood, and again he will commit the murder. In some situations, I found that trigger in different places, like in each, before committing each of the murder, he found a particular behavior and he again committed the murder. So trigger is a very small incident which can make a person commit a murder, the very first murder in the serial killings. So trigger is explained as a short happening in the life of a serial killer which activate the underlying killer instinct and pushes him towards the first murder. A person with a tendency to commit serial killing can sometimes abstain from it if he does not find the right trigger to push him over the edge. Then, purpose is the first available information to define the murders of a serial killer without worrying about the underlying motivation for his action. So, in police documents or on media reports, whenever an investigative officers refer that the motivation for the person was money, the motivation for the person was sex for committing the murder, the motivation for the person was revenge, it is not actually the motivation in this theory. So motivation in this theory is operated differently. What they are referring to purpose in this study. So purpose is the first available information to define the murders of a serial killer without worrying about the underlying motivation for his action. You can tell the purpose of a murderer just by examining the crime scene. You see the victim, you see the crime scene, what he has done to that victim. With that, you can tell the purpose of a person. Chain snatching case, you can say at the time when you hear about it, the purpose of the crime is financial. That person needed money, he committed the purpose. But not all people who need money will commit a chain snatching. Many people will work hard, earn money to buy their possessions. But one person committed chain snatching. Why he committed chain snatching? If you study his entire life and try to understand why he has committed it, but after looking at his nature, after looking at his DRLF, looking at his trigger, all these things, then it will become the motivation. So there is a difference between motivation in my study and purpose in my study. And this is the pictorial representation of motivation model I have created. Take this metaphor. Life doesn't look like this, but imagine life is a straight line from this is the birth, and imagine this is where the person is going to the death, and these are the years in between them. So 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and he is keep on living. So imagine this is the life of a serial killer, and progression of the life is in this direction, and this are the intensity graph of those incidents. So these thick colorful lines represents the nature of a person, and a person can have multiple natures. He can be aggressive, he can be very caring, and he had a coveting nature. If he wants something, he want to possess it. He is like that throughout his life. So there can be different natures for the people, and his nature varies depending upon the incidents. That means these I1, I2, I3, I4, I5, I6, these are all incidences in the life of a person. And then F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6, these are all DRLF, deep resting life factors, which had a tremendous influence at this particular time. Why there is a graph? This deep resting life factors did not take in a particular time. So this happens over a period of time. So for example, from 3 years to 7 years, this person had a particular issue which is considered as a the way the mother treated the child, which happened in those age, that is considered as a deep resting life factor. So that will start, it will aggravate with the particular incident, and then it will go down when the child grow up. And then there was another incident, an issue maybe with his brother, and something happened, and here it could be the death of a sibling, death of a father, it could be anything. So this is how the life of a serial killer is represented. And then at a certain point of time, this person can develop a killer instinct. So that means at that time the line will go straight, somewhat straight, and he is ready to commit a murder in that kind of situation. And then you can find trigger compared to all the incidences. Trigger is pretty small, it is a very small incident, and that incident will take him, that particular trigger will take him to the first murder, and after that again he will commit and this murder. So from the first murder onwards, his murder span will start. His murder span will end with the commission of the last murder. I will explain two cases. I will tell you how to apply this motivation model to a serial killer. So this is one case which I will explain here. One is the profile of Reggie Kumar. Reggie Kumar was selected to be a subject in my study because he committed a family annihilation. He killed all of his family members. Family annihilations, when it happens, people will commit the murders at one particular incident. But Reggie Kumar did not do that. Reggie Kumar took 16 days, which is written here, 16 days to in 2008 to commit these entire murders. So this is his profile which I have created. There is a lot to this profile. I cannot put all the informations in this slide. These are the number of murders he has committed. So I categorized into accused, confessed, convicted and suspected. He has committed 5 murders. All of them were his family members. He committed all the murders in 16 days, and characteristics of the murders were family annihilation. Family annihilation is a phenomena in which a person in a family kills the entire members of his family, and most often they may commit suicide, but in this case he did not commit suicide. He tried to escape the situation, but he was caught by the police. And he has used towel as a weapon. His first murder was not actually premeditated. He had a towel in his hand. He is a daily wage laborer working in a rubber plantation. So a towel is something which he used to carry all the time. And the method of murder in all the cases, he used strangulation. So strangled his victims in his house and disposed the bodies, and he tried to dispose the body. That was his post-crime behavior. Now let's look at the motivation of this case. I cannot give you the entire biographies of the cases here. We do not have the time and resources for it. So this is how I will explain the motivation of this particular case. Here you can see the first paragraph is about the nature of the person. So this is something which he had in his childhood. He started showing it in his childhood, and throughout the life he had it. Nature, then deep resting life factors, and then the third underlined word is key incidents, and the fourth underlined word is trigger. Let's look at what are his natures. Nature is the nature of the subject was to be hardworking. He had a hardworking nature. Then he had hypersexual. Since his sexual life has started, he showed a tendency to be very sexual. That means he was a man who demanded more sex from his partners. And then perfectionist. Whatever he does it perfectly. So everyone who entrusts a job to this particular person, they had the same opinion that he does the job perfectly. He does it better than anyone else. That is the perfectionist nature. If he starts something, he need to finish it, and he has to do it in a very perfect, very clean and neat manner. That is the perfectionist nature. This nature he expressed throughout his life. Then he is affectionate. He wanted to take care of the people who were depending upon him, and he did that throughout his life. And at the same time, he had a very secretive nature. That means he doesn't like talking about his personal feelings or personal problems to other people. He doesn't want to know the issues in his family by others. So that's what giving him a secretive nature. Whatever he feels, he used to keep it inside. Then the DRLF were socio-economic background. He was born in an all-right family, like a middle-class family, but certain situations in his life pushed him to poverty. That is, when I say it, it is visible religious factors. Religious factors is like he was born in a Hindu family, and when he fell in love with a woman, she is from Christian religion, and these religious factors interfered, and the families were not ready to welcome them in their family. So as a result of this person has to go and locate in another place. Then there is unemployment. He did not get a better job, though he has studied. He did not get a proper job, and as a result of this, there was a lot of poverty. There was excruciating poverty in his house. Then there was sexual factors resulting from his hypersexual nature. So this nature and DRLF sometimes interact. Sometimes nature can result in a DRLF. These things are not actually different. For the purpose of explaining the motivation, we have to make it different. And then there are marital distresses resulting from a particular problem, and then there is a compulsive need of closure for him. So if he starts something, he wanted to finish it. He kept on expressing that kind of nature throughout his life, and this resulting from his perfectionist nature. Then lack of sleep and prospect of a new life. So these are the deep resting life factors. So at one point of time, this person realized that he is in a mess and he wanted to get rid of the life and he wanted a new life. So that is the prospect of a new life. So let's look at how these things are interacting. These nature and DRLF, which I stated, they interact through various key incidences, and this happens through the complex interaction of the nature of the subject with the deep resting multiple factors through certain key incidents in the subject's life, such as returning to his native place from Bangalore after a career failure, which led to him acquainting with a Christian girl, and an interreligious marriage. That means, he returned from Bangalore. He tried to be working in the IT field in the Bangalore, but he couldn't get a job. As a result of that, he returned to his native place, and then he saw a Christian girl in his neighborhood, and he fell in love with that girl, and this resulted in an interreligious marriage against the will of their families. So since the religious factors and the marriage, they had to relocate to a distant place. So subject with his wife settling distant location, which further distancing them from their families. Birth of 3 children, which led to a straining on the resources of the family. That means he doesn't have a proper job. At the same time, he had 3 children, and this result in excruciating poverty in the life. At times there was only water to drink, there was no food to eat, and they had 3 hungry children to feed. As a result of this situation, the family relocated to Hyderabad because one person promised him a job in a school in Hyderabad. So there they promised 2 jobs, one for him as a school driver, and a manager in the school. And then the wife was also educated, and she was given as the job of a school teacher. And because of this person took his entire family there, and 2 of the girls of the family, the elder girls, they put them in an orphanage, for a Christian orphanage. They mostly secure girls from underprivileged families. So already they put these 2 girls in this orphanage, and with the remaining children they went to Hyderabad. And when they were working there, the wife of the subject developed an affair with the school manager there, and she became pregnant in that relationship. And when this all things happened, The subject was very angry and they returned to his native place. He found another job and in a rubber plantation where they moved with the families where the entire murder is taking place. So this is, if I put a 10-page biography, it is an impossible thing. If I put a 10-page biography into a small paragraph, this is how it will look like. Not very impressive, but you might have understood the key incidences in the life of this person. Then after this incident, the wife of the subject gave birth to the child of the manager, and Reggie Kumar, being very secretive, he cannot express this concern to anyone else. From that time onwards, Reggie Kumar stopped having sex with this woman, and this resulted in a lot of strain in his hypersexual nature. He developed a relationship with a woman who is a co-worker, and this relationship went so far. On one night, he received a missed call from that particular woman with whom he was having a relationship, and the missed call was attended by the wife of Reggie Kumar. You might think this is a very small incident. The same way I explained trigger, please remember that. The trigger is a very small incident. So once this missed call incident has happened, a quarrel broke out between his wife and him, and Reggie Kumar all of a sudden took the towel from his shoulder and strangulated his wife. And after strangulating his wife, in the next 1 week, he lied to the house owner. His wife returned to the native place, and in the next 2 weeks he killed both of the children. So when he killed the wife, he felt like he started something. Again, look at his perfectionist nature and his deep resting life factor, a compulsive need for closure. So when he killed wife, he started something which is the annihilation of his family. That means the destruction of his family lineage, entire one. So he had 3 children, including the 4th child, which everyone was thinking that it was his. He had 4 children. So he killed 2 of those boys. One was an infant and one was like 3 to 4 year old boy. He murdered both of them when he felt like their crimes were insufferable. And then he went to the orphanage where his 2 elder girls were secured. He brought them home without the knowledge of anyone, and he murdered both of them in the same night. So this entire incident took 16 days, and after this, he put the body of his wife in a septic tank, and then he put the bodies of the younger two boys in a gunny bag and threw it in a rubber plantation where no one used to go. And then while he was planning to dispose the bodies of the 2 girls, the house owners found him. They felt a suspicion, and when they opened the house through the roof and looked at the house, they found the dead bodies of these 2 women. And then this Reggie Kumar was caught by the police, and the bodies of his wife were fished out from the septic tank, and his children's, those young boys, were found in the rubber plantation. So this is the case of Reggie Kumar, and here the missed call incident which happened, if those missed call incidents were not there, this entire murders could not have committed. But sometimes even in the absence of a particular trigger, there can be another trigger. So this is how this motivation, the life course theory of serial killing applies to a particular murder. For applying this theory, you need information of the entire life of a murderer, or even you can apply this theory to any serial killer from anywhere in the world, provided you should have detailed research based data on them, and then only you can apply it.